everyone and welcome back to the channel. This is project 13 out of my 100 CloudGuard portfolio projects. If you are new to this channel, please hit the like button, subscribe and follow for more projects coming up. In this project, we are building one of the most requested projects I've seen so far, which aligns well with the AWS Solutions Architect Professional exam. Today we're diving into one of the most important concepts in cloud deployment, which is high availability and global presence. In this project, I built a multi-region active web application deployment that is designed to stay online regardless of a regional out, down or not. We're talking about intelligent traffic routing using latency routing via Route 53. We're talking about real-time data replication, and we're also talking about zero downtime. This is the kind of architecture that enterprises use for staying active 24/7, and we're going to be building that in this video. So stay tuned. If you're new to this channel, like I said, please subscribe and follow for more. Let's walk through the architecture so I can show you what we're going to be building.
So here in the architecture, this is what we're going to be building, and it's pretty clear and simple. We're going to have users trying to connect from all over the world, depending on the region or where they're connecting from. So they're going to be accessing our application via our Amazon Route 53, which is our DNS. So we configured our Route 53 with latency-based routing, which simply means Route 53 dynamically calculates the fastest network path and sends the user to the closest region depending on the user's location. In our case, we have US East 1 in the USA, Northern Virginia, and then we have EU West 1 in Ireland, which means if a user is in the US, they'll probably get sent, Route 53 is going to send them to this location, to this application here. But if the user is in maybe France or something closer to the EU West or Ireland, the user is going to be sent to this location. Now, going down the architecture, inside each region we have identical setup. It's going to be a stateless stack, an application load balancer here, distributing traffic to our auto-scaling group of EC2 instances. We have Apache web server, and then because the application is stateless, any instance here can handle any request that comes in. So this simply means we have an active session here where if a user in US East 1 makes any changes to application here, it's going to be saved into the database, and we're taking advantage of global tables and replicating the data to the next region. So which means within seconds, a user writes any data to our database, it automatically hits and replicates to our other region. So which means if a region goes down, if this region, for example, goes down, Route 53, through our health checks we're going to set up to check the application load balancers, is going to detect the unhealthy nature of the load balancer, and then it's going to route the traffic to the healthy load balancer, and any data written to this database is going to replicate via global tables to the other database, which makes it really an active session for us. So the global table here serves as a multi-master replication, so it replicates the data for us across. And this is how we're going to build an active web application in a multi-region setup. So with this being said, let's jump over to the AWS console and build this out. Alright, in the AWS console, the first thing we're going to do is create a DynamoDB global table. This global table is going to act as the multi-master database that's going to synchronize data across regions, providing us with sub-second latency. So we're just going to go ahead and do that now. And to start with that, navigate to the AWS console, go to DynamoDB, search for DynamoDB up here, and then you're gonna find DynamoDB. Click on create table, and for this we're gonna name our table global web app table, and for the partition ID as a partition, and it's gonna be string. Leave every other thing as default, come over here to the table settings. You want to go to customize. You want to customize the table. Leave it at DynamoDB standard. That's fine. It's gonna be on demand, and then just leave everything else as default, and then go ahead and create table. This is gonna take 2 or 3 minutes, but once it's created, we're gonna go into global tables and then turn on the replication. And for this, you will notice that we are in US East 1 Northern Virginia, and right now that it's active, you want to click into it, go to global tables. Here we're going to create a replica. Just click on create replica, and then we want eventual consistency, and then you want to pick the region where you want your replication to go to. And for this, we're going to EU West 1, and then go ahead and click on create. It's gonna create a replica for us. See that it's being enabled for replication, and now it's replicating data that is in our database. So go back to global tables. You will see that we have Northern Ireland here, and then we have the Northern Virginia here. So this is the first step. The second step is gonna be preparing our CloudFormation template that we're gonna be using to create the stack. So I've created my template already, and I'm gonna upload it here. So first of all, I'm gonna go to CloudFormation. I'm in Northern Virginia. We're gonna create a stack in both regions. So in this tab here, I have my Northern Virginia region, and here I have my CloudFormation. Here I'm going to change it to EU, and I'm going to pick EU West 1 as my region for this CloudFormation. So we're going to upload here and then here. So let's start with the Northern Virginia, and we're going to create a stack, and we're going to choose an existing template and then upload a template, and I'm going to choose my file here. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab it, and I'll walk you through it once I upload it. This is what my CloudFormation template looks like. The YAML file is going to be named active stack. So if we go over the templates, you will see that we have, so this is going to deploy this for me in this region. This is just the description, it doesn't matter. Right here you see the parameters. For the parameters, we're going to be providing a VPC, and then subnet, and then instance and instance ID. So for each instance in each region, we're going to go in there and pick the AMI for that region, and then impute it for the parameter in the stack when it's being before it's created. For the resources we're going to create, we have security group. We're going to create security group. We have application load balance security group, and then we have the app security group here. Then we have the application load balancer. We're going to create application load balancer. The listener is going to be HTTP, since it's going to be a web application, and then we have target group created too. And then we're going to create IAM roles, and then we're going to use our launch template, and this is going to be our Apache code right here. It's going to say welcome. It's going to say welcome, you are being served from, depending on the region we're going to be served from, it's going to tell us here. But once we connect to it, you will see it there. And we're going to have auto scaling group, of course, and we're going to have some outputs to tell us, to give us some other things we need to continue, like the application load balancer and the DNS and stuff like that. So this is what the template looks like. So let's hop back in, and then we're gonna upload this and then go from there. So we've uploaded the stack here, and then just click on next. It's gonna create an S3 bucket and upload it for us in there, and then click on next. For the US East 1, we're gonna call it the web app for US East 1, and then for the parameters, we're gonna pick an AMI ID for the region. So for this, you're gonna go to EC2, launch an EC2 instance, and then just scroll down. We are in US East 1. Scroll down, pick this AMI, and then go back, enter the AMI ID here. Then for the instance, it's gonna be T3 micro subnet. Just pick any 2 subnets in different availability zones, and then for the VPC, pick either your default VPC or any VPC you created, and then click on next. Leave everything else as default and then acknowledge this. Next, and then submit. It's gonna go ahead and start creating that for us. While that is happening here, let's go ahead and go to the other region, the Iron region, EU West 1, and then create a stack again. Same process, same thing. Come over here, upload, and then next, the stack name. We're gonna name this one the EU West 1. For the parameters, we're gonna go to the EU West 1 region. We're an EU West 1 you want to launch, and then same thing, go and pick the AMI ID for that region, and then go back, add the AMI ID. Going to be T3 micro subnets, pick 2 subnets in different availability zones, and then use the default VPC for that region. Click on next. Same thing here, everything is good. Acknowledge, next, and then go ahead and submit. This is going to go ahead and create a stack for us. Let's check this one and see what's going on. It's still creating progress, everything is going on smoothly, and we can see the resources it's creating for us here. And this one too is creating. If you check the resources, it's creating. So while that is creating, we need to configure Route 53 latency based routing. So now we're going to go to Route 53. Route 53. For this, you're going to need to have a domain set up. If you don't have one set up yet, there's no problem, you can just watch this. But an easy way to have a domain is, I have one already. It's a .click, and I use this a lot because it's for testing. So if you want to do that, just come over here, register a domain, and then have a .click. It's usually cheaper, but this is not available. But .clicks are usually $3. So if I search for, let me just add something weird there. So see, samq.click is like $3, and this is just for testing in your environment. So if you want to have that, you can have that $3 for a year, and then you have a domain you use in testing. But for me, I have one already I created for my testing. So you want to go to hosted zones, click on it, you have it here, then you want to create a record. Remember, so Route 53 is global, so you don't have to change regions, but you're going to pick your region when we get somewhere here. So we're going to create an A record, and we're going to call it app.cloudguardportfolio.click, and then alias. We're going to route traffic to application load balancer and classic load balancer. And for the region, we're going to pick the first one is going to be US East 1. So let's look for US East 1 right there. And then we're going to pick the application load balancer it created for us already. So from the CloudFormation, our application load balancer has been created. So if you come to EC2, come to the side here, and if you go to application load balancers, you should see application load balancer created already, and it's active. So that's why we can select it in Route 53. So this is it here, we'll select it. And then for the routing policy, we're going to pick latency routing. For the region, we're going to pick US East 1. And then for the health check ID, we're going to come back to this because we have to create a health check. For the record ID, we can just name this one US East 1 stack. This is just in case you have a bunch of records and you want to differentiate them. So for this, we're just going to go ahead and create a record. While this is creating, we're going to repeat the same thing again for the other region, and we're going to name it the same thing. It's going to be app, a record, alias. Then we're going to pick application load balancer and classic load balancer. For the region, we're going to go to EU, and then the EU West 1. And we're going to pick our load balancer for the EU West 1. Same thing here is going to be latency based routing. For the region, we're going to pick our EU West 1. And for the record ID, we're just going to change this to EU West 1 and then create record. The records have been created. Now the next thing to do is go to health checks. We're going to create a health check, and for the name, we can name this one EU East 1 health check. and it's going to be on endpoint, and it's going to be by domain name. Here we're going to add our DNS name for the application load balancer. That way you can check the health check of the application load balancer. So for this, if you come to the Northern Virginia and then you click on it, here we have the DNS name. Just copy this, go back to the health check and paste it right here, and then click on advanced configuration. We're going to leave it as standard 3, failure 3. Everything is just leave everything as default, and then create health check. We're going to repeat the same thing again, create another health check for the other region. So for this, we're going to name this EU West 1. We're going to name it EU West 1 Health. Same thing, domain, and then we're going to go to the EU West 1. Let's change EU West 1. Go to load balancers, get our load balancer, copy the DNS name, and then go back, add the DNS name, leave everything as default, and then create health check. Awesome. Now let's go back to CloudFormation to see if our stack has been created. This is still creating in progress. What's wasting time? Auto scaling group. And let's check the other region. This is complete. So this is still creating for us in Northern Virginia. We still have the auto scaling group being created. We'll just give it a few minutes and see how far it goes, but we can also check it here. Come to auto scaling group in our Northern Virginia. Auto scaling groups, we can see it here, still updating. So let's give it a few minutes. But even right now that this has been created, if we open a new window here and then go to Route 53 to our hosted zones, and then if we copy this to a new tab, it's gonna lead us to it's gonna take us to the EU West 1, because that is complete already. If you refresh, it's gonna stay here because the stack has been created completely, but it's not taking us to the Northern Virginia because it's still in progress. So if we give it a few minutes, once it's completed, we'll come back here and refresh. We should see it's bouncing between those two. Let's come back in here and look at our stack. So look at our stack, we see that in our US East 1, our stack is complete, our deployment is complete, and then EU West 1, it's complete too. So everything has been deployed. So if we check the console, if we start with the our DNS, which is Route 53, we should see that all health checks have passed, which is good. If you check the EC2 instances, you will see that here we have 2 running instances that we checked, and then if you check the other region too, we have 2 running instances. So this simply means that when we go to the application page and then refresh, we should see US East 1. But there's a way we can simulate failure, is by changing our auto scaling group max capacity and minimum capacity to 0. So let's come back to our EC2 instances here. Let's just make sure this is still healthy. Yes, it is. So let's come back to our US East 1. Go to auto scaling. This is our auto scaling group. Select it. Click on edit. Change the desired capacity to 0. And then let's change the minimum capacity to 0. So now this is gonna force it to be unhealthy and then failover. So let's go ahead and update this. Now give it a few minutes. The EC2 instances are gonna terminate and it's gonna fail over. So now since we are in US East 1, if we go to our application here and refresh, it's serving us from EU West 1 at the moment because we're having issues with our EC2 instances here. It's terminating. So right now, because our EU East 1 is unhealthy, it's taking us to EU West 1 automatically. But if we get it healthy by checking the EC2 instances, now we have our load balancer healthy. So right now, if we go to our application our application that was serving us from EU West 1. If we refresh, it should take us to US East 1. So refresh now, it's bringing us to US East 1. No matter how we refresh, we're still gonna stay on US East 1 because it's latency based routing. So it's routing based on our location and how fast we can get to the application. But if I now use a VPN and try to connect from a location closest to the EU West 1, then it's going to serve me from the EU West 1. So right now I'm going to change my location on my VPN and then try to connect. So now I'm going to be connecting from Ireland. Let's see where it's going to serve me from. Now I'm connecting from EU West 1 because I changed my VPN IP to Ireland. So no matter what I do here, it's still going to connect from Ireland. But what if I still have my Ireland IP and I go to the EU West 1 and go to the auto scaling group and then change the capacity to 0 from minimum and desired capacity to 0 and then update? If you give this a couple of minutes, it's gonna fail over to the US East 1. So right now it's trying to update the capacity. If we go to EC2 instance in the EU West 1 and refresh, you will see that it's gonna start terminating the instance in a few minutes. Our Route 53 health checks are gonna go unhealthy and then it's gonna route us to US East 1. So let's give that a few minutes to propagate. So this took about 2 minutes, but right now you will see our EU West 1 is marked as unhealthy from our Route 53. So since it's marked as unhealthy, it's not gonna route to it again, it's just gonna route to the US East 1. So if we check my VPN is still saying I'm connecting from Ireland. So even though I'm connected from Ireland, based on latency, it should take me to US West 1. But because it's unhealthy right now, if we go back to application and then refresh, it should take us to US East 1. So refresh, we're back to US East 1 because it's unhealthy. So right now, if we go to the auto scaling group and then change the capacity again, change it back to 2 and then 2, update, give it a few minutes, and then if we come back and reconnect again, you will see that we're now connecting back to the EU West 1, and then our health checks are gonna come back to healthy. So just give it a few minutes and then it's gonna come back to healthy. Now if you look at our EC2 instance from the EU West 1, you will see that the old ones are being terminated and the new ones are being created for us. So by the time it's all running and initialized and past health check here, if we go back to the Route 53 and refresh, this should turn to healthy. Let's give it a few minutes, it's gonna turn to healthy, and then when we go and check again, it's gonna route us back to EU West 1. So right now it's saying it has passed health check, everything is good, and we can just get the running instances, everything is good. If we go back to health checks, and this is checking on the elastic load balancer. So the load balancer will check on auto scaling group, and then once auto scaling group marks it as healthy, then elastic load balancer will confirm to the to Route 53 that it's healthy to route traffic over there. But right now it's still going to be routing to the US East 1. If you give this a few minutes and it's healthy, so now it's healthy and I'm still in Ireland, right? So if I come back to our application, since it's healthy, it's saying we were in US East 1. If I refresh, I should go back to EU West 1. And that's how you build a multi-region active web application. So right now it's time to clean up. Cleanup is going to be really fast. The first thing we're going to do is come in here let's start with our EU West 1. Come in here, we have our stack here. All we have to do is delete the stack. Just copy this and paste, and then delete stack. It's gonna go ahead and delete everything for us. Same thing we're gonna do here. Just come over here, delete stack, copy this and then delete. Gonna take a couple of minutes. The only thing we have to manually delete is gonna be DynamoDB table we created. We just come in here, we have to delete the replica, just confirm and then delete the replica. Let's check the EU West 1, deletion in progress, just refresh and then refresh. Still deleting. Then in route 53, so the replica is gone now. All you have to do is delete the table. So just go ahead and delete table and then delete, and it's gonna go ahead and delete the table for us. Now the next thing we have to do is go to route 53, select our health checks and then delete and then delete the other one too, and then you want to go to hosted zones, select your domain, select the two records we created, and then we're going to delete the records. That is awesome. If we check our stack now, they should have been deleted. Still deleting. This one too, still deleting. While this is going on, we can go to S3 because it created S3 buckets for us to store our templates. So if you go to S3, you should see the buckets it created for each region to store our templates. You can select an empty. Oh, I deleted the buckets. Now let's check our stack again. Still in progress. Still in progress. Just give it a few minutes. Our EC2 instances are gone. We're just waiting for the stacks to be deleted. And that's it for this video.
And that's how you build a multi-region active web application on AWS. Let's do a quick recap on what we built so far. If you made it this far, you now understand how to build systems that can survive regional outages and still deliver a seamless experience to users around the world. We just built a multi-region fault-tolerant architecture on AWS. Designed for zero downtime and global performance. We started by creating a DynamoDB table in US East 1 and then creating a replica in EU West 1 and then deployed our CloudFormation template that created our application load balancer, auto-scaling group, and then our instances. Now this we replicated, we deployed in the two regions, and then we now use Route 53 to set up latency routing to our application by also checking the health of the application through via the load balancer to make sure everything is working, and then we now routed traffic. At the end of the day, changed my VPN to come in from Ireland, and then we failed over to the Ireland because we was closer to our login location, and that's very If you're serious about logging AWS through Google projects, make sure to hit the subscribe button and then stay tuned for the next CloudGuard project.
Talk slow when I speak, let the moment stretch. Learn peace ain't found, it's a thing you protect. Yeah, I vibe like water, I change a shift, but the roots still deep like my grandma's grits. City move fast, but I drift like smoke. Let the rhythm in my chest be the way I cope. Wrote a song for the days that feel soft.